Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to DCTV, where I am your host, Drew Collins, bringing you all sports-related news here in the greater Cincinnati area. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and as always, just show that support in the comment section below. And today's stream, we have some awesome stuff to go over. We have the Week 6 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, hoping to get back on the board against the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be a fun one to watch, good preview game. Phillip Rivers, who's been a turnover machine, and our defense, who's been able to force over some turnovers as well. It's going to be Joe Burrow's first time playing the Colts in his career, and it's going to be definitely a fun one to watch, and I am excited to talk about my preview and prediction for this Week 6 matchup. We'll give it a few minutes here, try to get some more people coming into the stream. Don't expect it to be too many people like there are on game days just because it is a Thursday. But we'll try to see how many people we can get in here and see if we can get some fun going. So we'll give it a few minutes here, and then we'll get going. If you haven't already, follow me on all my social medias down below right here. Twitter, Instagram, make sure you go ahead and follow me on those if you haven't already. Also, make sure to join the Discord. It's a group chat of all Cincinnati sports talk. About 50 people in there right now. All day, every day, all we do is talk Cincinnati sports. It is a whole lot of fun. So I will go ahead and put that in the link real quick. Or put that in the comment section. Let me grab the link for you guys. Invite people. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one to talk about because we have some interesting things to get into. Give me one sec, guys.
Whole lot of fun.
Oop, sorry for the echo. There should be probably a second of echo right there. So there is the link to the Discord. If you guys want to go ahead and join that. Like I said, it's just a group chat of all Cincinnati sports people. We talk sports, Reds, Bengals, live trades, injuries, updates, everything like that we talk about live in that group chat, and it is a lot of fun. We also have a fantasy league in there as well that we talk about, and it's a lot of fun as well. So let me get this shared on Facebook real quick, and then I will get straight into everything. I'm just going to share this on Facebook, and we're going to get going here. Watch party. Start a watch party. If there is any topics you guys want to talk about, let me know right away. I'm also going to be taking live calls as well. So if any of you want to come on and be able to talk live to everybody on stream, you are more than welcome to do that. You just got to join that Discord, send me a message, and we'll be able to get you to talk live here on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. Start watch party. All right. Well, there we go. So now that we are on live on Facebook and YouTube, let's get into it. I'm excited. So here we go. First off, we're going to go over injuries. Injuries on both teams for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Indianapolis Colts. So let's start with the Colts. I believe they do have some big injuries so far, but so do we. Bengals definitely have some injuries as well, especially one that I heard of Sam Hubbard today. I believe he's not doing too well, which is a huge bummer because this Indianapolis Colts offensive line is definitely one of the best in the entire league. Yes, we will definitely get into the A.J. Green situation. As always, we always spend some time, I feel like, touching on A.J. Green, but especially with the news that's popped up in the past week, we will definitely get into the A.J. Green situation. WHODEY LT, WHODEY EG Gaming. Appreciate you guys all joining. Appreciate the love. So, for the Colts, we'll start with injuries. They have a couple guys, Trey Burton, Justin Houston. Darius Leonard did not play Wednesday. I don't have an update on here for Thursday, but as of right now, Darius Leonard has not practiced, and that is huge. Darius Leonard is a game changer. He is going to be able to read Joe Burrow. He's going to be going up against a rookie, so he's going to be making moves and plays. So it's going to be a big game time decision for Darius Leonard. You also have their star left tackle, Anthony Costanzo, who's been limited. That is also a huge one because their offensive line's by far top 5 in the NFL easy. So if they lose a guy like Anthony Costanzo, who's been the best in the league for a long time, that would be huge. And then Jordan Wilkins, one of the running backs, is unlimited as well. So they have a couple guys out. I know their rookie receiver, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Drake, you know his name. I know he's been out with the injury as well, which is a huge one. Obviously, I don't want any guys injured, but the fact that he is going to be out of the game, that's going to be huge for the Colts. For the Bengals, Geno Atkins, as of Wednesday, did not play, but it's because of rest. Carlos Dunlap did not play because of rest. So hopefully we get the truth. Geno Atkins, they hyped him up. Oh, he's starting. Oh, he's playing. Yada, yada, yada. He barely played Sunday. I get it. It really wasn't a close game to begin with. But at the same time, how are you going to hype him up saying, oh, he's finally back, and then him barely play? I feel like that was kind of disappointing, honestly. So hopefully he's good. Carlos Dunlap, obviously he took that bench role, and our defense really didn't, we really didn't get any sacks or anything. So we'll see how he bounces back. Darius Phillips did not play, out with the shoulder injury. That's going to be a huge one because we don't have too much depth at that corner position with Trey Waynes out. So we're definitely going to need him. And yes, like Drake said, Michael Pittman Jr., the receiver for the Colts, that's who I was talking about. He is out for the season. Sam Hubbard, who is a guy I just found out today, is not playing in practice. He's out with an elbow injury. I mean, he finally got the start. It was Carl Lawson, Sam Hubbard. He finally gets the start, and boom, he gets hurt. That sucks. Sucks big time. He's so young, so at least one, either him or Carlos Dunlap need to play. Hopefully they both play, but it just sucks he finally gets time to shine, and then he gets hurt. Alden Tate did not play with the shoulder injury. Mackenzie Alexander was limited with the hamstring injury. Giovanni Bernard was out with the groin injury. Had to be practice. And A.J. Green has been limited with hamstring, but he's been rumored that he is going to play. So I guess since you guys want to talk about the A.J. Green topic, let's get right into that. And I see somebody, my boy Kevin on Facebook, went ahead and talked about, should A.J. Green be traded? Well, we're about to get into the A.J. Green topic right now. So the situation with the A.J. Green, if you didn't see it already, basically in last week's game, he had a piss-poor performance and really showed a lack of effort. Just looked like he didn't want to be on the field, didn't want to be a Cincinnati Bengal, and just looks very frustrated and upset with the team. The biggest problem was he got caught on the bench. The NFL, like the camera was shown his way, and you can always lip read players. And basically he said, I don't know why they're not playing me. They might as well trade me. And it blew up. If you haven't heard of this, you must be sleeping on a rock, because if you're a Bengals fan, it is terrible. But it blew up. He denied it today in the press conference. He said that's not what he said, but he did. He was frustrated. I think it's total bullshit. It's kind of obvious that he said what he said. You can't really walk your way around that. It's just the truth. By the way, we're gonna get into the main screen here. There we go. It's a lot better. So, anyways, he said what he said. He got caught on camera just basically complaining that I don't know why they don't trade me, and it's a bad look. It is a terrible look for a guy who's said out many times that he wants to be a longtime Cincinnati Bengal and he wants to retire in a Bengals uniform. Well, when you go out there and get caught on camera saying that you don't want to, why don't they just trade me? And then, it's not even just that. It was just his play on the field. It was his play on the field. He had such a piss poor effort and just a lack of enthusiasm and just wasn't excited to be out there. I mean, I think the biggest play that everyone sees is the throw that A.J. Green overthrew him. It wasn't a catchable pass, but he had no effort. He could have went up. He could have tried to tip it. He could have knocked it down. Then he could have tackled the guy. Instead, he just went and walked off the field. And I'm seeing these Bengals fans defend him on social media, and it just makes me so angry because you can't defend lack of effort. They're defending him saying, oh, it's not A.J. Green's fault. It wasn't a catchable pass. That's not the point. The point isn't it wasn't a catchable pass. The point is his piss poor effort and just his lack of enthusiasm of being a Cincinnati Bengal. I saw so many people out there on social media this past week defending A.J. Green. And it's like, holy crap. I love A.J. Green. I grew up watching him. Growing up watching him, he's one of my favorite players of all time. But as a business standpoint in the NFL, for the Bengals to have success in the future and protecting Joe Burrow and yada, 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 this and that and this, at some point, man, you can't just love him for the name on the back of his jersey. At some point, you have to do what's best for the Bengals, and that's exploring trades, letting him walk. I mean, we'll have to see. But outside of this, he hasn't played great at all. AJ Green has been so bad this year. And as a Bengals social media person, I guess whatever you want to call me, content creator, I've sat here and I've tried to defend AJ Green this whole year. Week in and week out, I have a big prediction for AJ Green. And then when he doesn't perform, I say, it's okay, guys. Relax. He's just knocking off the rust from all the injuries, from not playing for 2 years. He'll be fine. I find myself saying this week in and week out. And then it's so hard to defend somebody like him, and then him go to the game, have such a lack of effort, and then get caught saying that on live television, and then kind of go in the press conference and say, yeah, it was out of context. I didn't say that. I was frustrated, but I didn't say that. It's like, dude, you got caught saying it, wear it. Like, it is what it is. And it sucks because, like I said, I don't want you. I'm a Bengals fan just like you guys. I don't want to sit here and argue about it. But at some point, you can't like the player for the name on the back of his jersey. You got to like what we can get for value-wise to protect Joe Burrow. Because in Joe Burrow's future down the road, AJ Green isn't going to be here. Who's going to be here? Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, possibly Auden Tate. Guys like that we need to start focusing on, and less of AJ Green. I love AJ Green. I think our team is so young, and we do need a few veterans to help this young team. And I want AJ Green to be that. But not if he's going to be a cancer to the locker room. And it's just the total truth. And Bengals fans, you guys got to wake up. I'm not saying the Bengals need to just hate AJ Green and to just throw your jerseys away, burn them, trade them. That's not what I'm saying. But stop loving the player for the name on the back of his jersey and love him for the value that he brings to the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the value of AJ Green, even before this week, has been like 5% out of 100. And like I said, as a Bengals person, I've tried to sit there and, hey, Bengals fans, it's okay. He's just knocking off the rust. And I sit here and I defend AJ Green week after week after week, and I'm done. I'm done defending AJ Green. When I see a guy out there saying that he just wants to be traded, and it's not even that he says that he's frustrated. When people are angry in life, you say things that you don't mean necessarily. And I get that he's on the sideline saying, oh, yeah, okay, trade me. But it's his effort. His body language. You can't make that stuff up. It is what it is. If you're watching the game, you see it. And if you don't, you're oblivious for the name on the back of the jersey because that's the only thing you see. So I don't want to talk about the AJ Green for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. But that is my feelings towards AJ Green. I'm done defending him, saying he's okay, he's knocking off the rust, he'll come back, he'll bounce back. I'm done defending AJ Green. I'm done. I'm moving on. I hope that he comes back somehow and has a good rest of the season. But if he doesn't start playing, I don't know what his future is, and I don't think it will be in Cincinnati. That's what I got to say about the AJ Green situation. Stop defending someone who disrespects the organization. Stop it. AJ Green has done a lot for the city. He's done a lot for the organization. But you can only do so much, and it can only last for so long before they start, you know what I mean? Like before, they start butting heads, and they're starting to butt heads. So we'll have to see how that ends up. William on Facebook said, if we don't turn around, should we sit Joe Burrow? No, Joe Burrow is not the answer. You can't really sit him. I know a lot of people have been saying that, like, oh, he's getting hit so much, you might as well sit him so he can avoid injury. That's just not the answer. The answer is something else. It's fixing that O-line. Trade what you got to trade. Go into free agent, what you got to do free agent. The answer is not benching Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow isn't a problem. Obviously, we don't want him hurt. But the Bengals organization, to prove that they are moving into the right direction, has to do something to build around Joe Burrow. We can't sit here year after year, continue being disrespected and disappointed by this Bengals front office. And I know I'm fiery today, I'm hot today, but you guys started me off with the AJ Green question, so that's your fault. I'm usually pretty cool, calm, and collected, but you started me off with the AJ Green situation. So Joe Burrow, sitting him is not the right answer. Putting Ryan Finley in there is just waving the white flag and just making our organization look weak. Shout out to Patty Cooper on Facebook. I appreciate you all joining. If you are just now joining the stream, make sure you leave a like on YouTube and Facebook, whichever one you're on. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hit the follow button. And yeah, thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate it. WHODEY, baby. What are you guys saying on YouTube? I'd rather trade him. He doesn't want to be here and isn't doing anything. We have young receivers like T and Alden that will give more opportunities to develop. And yes, I saw that. And I know in the Discord we had a little bit of an argument talking about what are we going to do with AJ Green. Some people believed we're not going to get anything out of him. Some people believe we could get something out of him. I'm on the borderline where I know we can get a decent pick for him. If not a pick, an offensive lineman that's somewhat decent. It's pretty obvious, and I think we need to do it. Let's see how it goes. Trade deadline's week 8, week 9. Correct me if I'm wrong. Deadline's coming. We have a few more weeks. So I think we have another football before the deadline, and we can see where this ship sails. We don't know if this is going to head north or south, but we'll find out. And depending on where it goes, I think, the Bengals have never been a trade-first team, but depending on where this team is, sailing to, come week 7, week 8, getting towards the trade deadline, we'll have to see, because it's going to be a fun one to see how this turns out. Because we've had Alden Tate, who's came out publicly and has been really upset with the Bengals organization, and then now AJ Green, who is just showed that his frustration and upset, and it's starting to, show around the field. If that's how he's talking during the game on the sideline, how do you think he acts in the locker room? And, I love Burrow, and I love how mature he is, and the press conference, answering everything. Every time he answers them, he's 110% mature, cool, calm, collected. Every time he gets asked about AJ, he's such a great veteran, such a great locker room guy. At some point, we got to know the truth, man. You're not telling me the same guy that's on the sideline talking to other players like, yo, I don't know why they don't just trade me. He's a positive veteran? Really? Because what I'm seeing, he's not. So we need to know the truth. And that's just the situation of being an outsider, not an insider when it comes to sports. But something's not adding up. And that's why I think this next month of football, I know the Bengals aren't a big trade-first organization over the past few decades. But, man, we got to see something over these next few weeks. I'm telling you. We'll find something out. If we trade AJ, get some O-line. If we traded for AJ and didn't get an O-line or pick, I don't know if I'd want to trade him because that's really what we need. As much as I love AJ, he's been my role model for years, but when you don't bother trying to stop defender, it's just time. And yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people forget I'm a Bengals fan too. I'm just a realist. I'm just realistic when it comes to situations and talking sports. I love AJ Green. I'm an 18-year-old kid, so like I said, a lot of my childhood watching football was AJ Green highlights. But when I see a guy who's out there putting piss poor effort and just seems like he's frustrated, why have him out there? Zach Taylor and this Bengals organization the past 2 years, or past year and a half, have entitled this new locker room, this new Bengals organization, this new, you see it all over Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. Bengals have, they've really shown that they're moving on to this new locker room, this new team, this new organization, heading into a new direction. Well, having guys on the team that are like that, I don't know how we could head into a new direction. AJ Green's the most talented player, or one of the most talented players on this team, and for him to have nothing going, it's just about time. And it's crazy thinking about it, because I remember heading into the season, I was like, AJ Green's going to have a big bounce back year. He's going to be, one of my predictions was comeback player of the year, because he's going to be a big security blanket for Burrow, and boy, was I wrong so far this year. Because if anybody's been a security blanket, it's definitely been Tyler Boyd, or even T. Higgins, since he's got the starting lineup job over John Ross. Also, wouldn't be a bad idea to get Junior's replacement if offered for AJ. Yeah, I think defensive tackle is that position that's a little bit easier to draft than offensive line. So I feel like if we did get a pick, we don't necessarily need to go out in free agency for defensive tackle. It's always a choice or to trade, but I feel like defensive tackle is a pretty good spot to get in the draft. Got a little bit easier to develop sometimes, I feel like. That's my personal opinion. But, DJ Reader obviously out for the season. It just sucks, man. Injuries suck in the NFL in 2020. 2020 sucks in general, but, man, the injuries this year for everybody across the league has been awful. DJ Reader's out for the season. Trey Waynes is out for the season. Those two guys alone, like the two biggest free agent accusations we had. Bengals actually go spend out money, and here they are, end up getting hurt. Just unfortunate. Then, Sam Hubbard gets out. Gets hurt with an elbow injury. Alden Tate gets injured. Mackenzie Alexander, another offseason frequency. All these guys are limited or injured or out for the season, and it just freaking sucks, man. And there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. It's the name of the game. But, Yeah, I mean, the injuries are not helping. So DJ Reader's definitely the future. Hopefully comes back healthy next season. We'll get Trey Williams back next season. But I just feel like as a Bengals fan, it's always next season, next season, next season. But, yeah. And CJ Uzomah as well. CJ Uzomah's, yeah, I forgot about CJ Uzomah. CJ Uzomah's out for the season as well with the Achilles injury, which is also unfortunate. Another guy who is young and a proven guy. And now we have Drew Sample to step up. So I think that's an interesting position we have going on right there. But definitely. EG said, I would think that we could start thinking about trading John Ross. I just don't think we'll get anything out of John Ross. He's never healthy to trade, and when he is healthy, we declined his 5th-year option. So if teams really want him, they're just going to be able to, if a team desperately needs somebody, then they'll trade. That's why I think even though AJ Green's on a 1-year tender contract, teams during the trade deadline get desperate. Teams like the Patriots, borderline teams that believe they need that one more guy to help out and they can be that win, they get desperate and they cough up a lot. That's what I think will happen to AJ Green. But John Ross, I don't think that will happen because he's not that type of player. I feel like teams are going to think, if we really want that guy, we can just wait till the free agency and then sign him then, because the Bengals declined his 5th-year option, so he's going to be a free agent. So I don't think we'll get anything out of him. Although I wish we could trade him for something, I just don't think we'll show value. But once again, like I said, teams get desperate at the end of the when it comes to that trade deadline, and teams that are borderline believe we're just one player away. They get desperate and they cough up a lot. That's when I think if AJ Green gets traded, that's when he will. I just don't know if teams will give up anything for John Ross, because is he a game-changing player for somebody? I don't know, but could AJ Green be? Yeah. That's how I think about it myself. I don't think we'd get much for him, maybe a 5th round pick. And even if we did, yeah, it'd probably be around that value, 5th, 6th, 7th. But even then, it's worth it because we're getting something out of him. I just don't know if team would. AJ Green's a totally different caliber player and brings a lot more to the table than John Ross. And AJ Green's proven, not in the past 2 years, but 2.5 years, but John Ross hasn't really proven since he started as a rookie. So I think it's a big difference. The next big quarterback rivalry in the AFC North will be Lamar and Burrow. Oh, yeah, definitely. Lamar and Burrow, 2 times a year, possibly going to be 3 times in the future. Oh, yeah, it's just going to be a fun one to watch. I think Baker's a good player. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback ever in his career. I think he's a good average quarterback when he has talent built around him. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a guy to carry a team. I think Lamar and Burrow are 2 guys that can carry a team and sometime in their career could fight for MVP. Lamar obviously did, but speaking of Burrow, I just don't think Baker will ever see that MVP caliber player. I think he's just a guy, build a team around him and he will do good. But, he's not that guy to go do it himself. And then Big Ben, obviously, maybe has a year, 2 or 3 left in the tank, if that, if he stays healthy. So, no, I definitely think Lamar and Burrow are definitely the future of the AFC North, for sure. For sure. But let's focus back towards this Colts games. But if anybody's watching on Facebook or YouTube and you want to touch on any topics, comment it. Definitely get active in that comment section. Let me know what you want to talk on or talk about. I think a big thing to hit on for this Colts-Bengals matchup is offensive line, defensive line matchup. The Colts, hands down, have a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. Anthony Costanzo has been limited, he probably will play knowing the star that he's been in his career. But, their offensive line's fantastic. So that questions our defensive rush. DJ Reader is now out. Geno Atkins has not played. Carlos Dunlap has not played. Sam Hubbard has not played. All on Wednesday. So the only defensive line starter that has played has been Carl Lawson. All the other guys are going to be short a few days on practice. And you talk about we're going up against a top 5 offensive line in the entire NFL. Are we going to get pressure on the quarterback? That brings up a huge question mark. Obviously, we have Logan Wilson back, Akeem Davis-Gathers, Jermaine Pratt, all those guys in the linebacking crew to, cause some pressure. But our defensive line, how is it going to shape out on Sunday? We'll have to see how everyone is healthy-wise. how the injury report is Sunday morning. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if we're going to be able to cause some pressure on this Colts offense, because we have seen Phillip Rivers has not looked good for the Colts. The Colts have not won games because of Phillip Rivers. Matter of fact, they've lost games because of Phillip Rivers. He's been a turnover machine, and if you get pressure on him, he will make bad throws. And what do those lead to? Turnovers. Guys like Jesse Bates, the number 1 ranked Pro Football Focus safety in the entire NFL in 2020. We're going to need guys like him, Von Bell, guys stepping up, causing pressure back there against the secondary. I think a big way to win this game is to continue to have this Colts team turn the ball over. But that's why I bring up the question, how is our D-line going to fare against this offensive line that is really good? That's my question. Williams said we should have never got rid of Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler. Yeah, Andrew Whitworth is like 39 years old and still is a top 5, top 10 tackle in the NFL. Yeah, never. Because if we would have Andrew Whitworth and Jonah Williams on our tackles, we'd be solid. We'd still need left guard, right guard, and center, or at least left guard and right guard. But yeah, if we had Whitworth, our tackles would be set, at least for another year or two before Whitworth has to retire. Why do we pay Bobby Hart for? Well, I don't think the Bengals are trying to replace him. There's so many other guys you can try to work out in free agency, and I know they have, I think, held workouts for guys, but I don't think they've brought anybody on. So if they're gonna pay him, if they're gonna pay someone else, they can't pay him. But at this point, it seems like that's their guy. Unfortunately, I don't know, man. You're asking me. I don't think we have anybody else to step up. At least that's what the Bengals believe. Like, they believe he's the best guy. They defend him in every press conference. And I think that's what's a big problem for this Bengals organization. They're not being very realistic, in my opinion. They're kind of pushing everything off, which is pretty concerning. No one expected us to really make the playoffs or the Super Bowl, but I did expect us to have a respectable 6-8 win season, 5-6 win at minimal. So, yeah, I decided to at least be respected in the NFL, but we'll have to see. If we win the turnover battle, we will win, and I think that's a huge key success to this game. I'm actually going to write that down for my prediction and preview, like my little predictions or the keys to win. I think that's 100% right, is a turnover battle. I think you're 100% right. The turnover battle is going to be game-changing to see who wins this one, for sure. Baker's like Stafford, get the right guys around him, and he'll be good. The thing about Stafford, they've really never got guys around him. Stafford's really never had a lot of guys around him. I'm dead. Bauer just trolled this guy so hard. Yeah, I think Bauer is trolling all Reds fans pretty hard. I don't think he'll be a Red next year, but we'll see. Anyways, focusing back on the Colts-Bengals game. So turnover battle is going to be a huge one. We got to force the ball over. I think the next one we can talk about is the QB matchup. Phillip Rivers versus obviously Joe Burrow. We'll check out some stats real quick. Check out some stats for Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. So, like I said, he's been a turnover machine. 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1,227 yards. So they're throwing the ball. I mean, you got to expect it when you have a good offensive line, a guy who loves throwing the ball. You're going to have a lot of yards. But 4 touchdowns, 5 picks for Phillip Rivers this season. He has not been good. And I'm sure this is a game where the Colts feel like they can come in here and just march all over us, and they can get Phillip Rivers some confidence back. They feel like they're going to be able to throw the ball out. So I'm expecting them to really attack Darius Phillips, and a lot of our secondary guys, because I feel like the Colts are going to come into this game thinking they're going to get an easy win, and I think we're definitely going to put up a battle against them. But yeah, I mean, that's Phillip Rivers. Not a good season so far. I mean, he's coming off against playing the Browns, a 23-32 loss to the Browns. He went 21 for 33, 243 yards, 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. So obviously not a good game, definitely a terrible game. So what did the Browns do? They turned the ball over on the Colts and they beat them. And I think we need to do something very similar as well if we want to see some success too. if Burrow can get time, he could more likely throw for over 300. And yeah, since Zach Taylor wants to run 4 and 5 out 90% of the game, he should be throwing over 300. We run so much 4 and 5 out, there's no excuse he shouldn't, but there is an excuse because our offensive line is garbage. So yeah, I totally 100% agree. Burrow will get numbers one day when he has an offensive line. I think we just need to question the 5 out and 4 out. Don't get me wrong, I love the aggressiveness. I love spacing out, getting the spread, a strong aerial attack with the quarterback that we trust, but I think we need to get some guys up front that we can trust before Joe Burrow gets his head taken off. Williams said we need a veteran on that offense line, and if we trade AJ, if we go pick one up in free agency, I agree. I mean, so many people in this offseason say we need to draft. Look what drafting has turned out for us. It hasn't been too great to us besides Jonah Williams. Billy Price, it's kind of been a bust so far. He's not really been great, and a lot of the other guys we've drafted as well. So yes, I do want us to continue drafting, but at some point we need to go spend some money on that offensive line. I totally agree with you, William. Totally agree. Rivers is poor when it comes to scrambling. We just need to get pressure. And exactly, that's a whole nother reason why I said getting pressure on him is going to be a huge key to success. I just don't know how we're going to be able to do it with our, injury-studded defensive line and their good offensive line. He's not mobile at all. He's a slow old guy where if you get that pocket collapsing, he's going to struggle and he's going to force the ball. He's going to make some incompletions and some interceptions as well, just like he's done all year. When we get O-line, we are set on offense. I agree. It's so hard to try to argue the opposite side of that. It's just 100% right. We have the future for the running back, future for the quarterback. We have future for the receiver core. It's just an O-line on that offense, and we're good. And maybe a new offensive line guy calling the shots. We'll have to see. I don't want to say that too early, but bring in anyone, give them a shot. Serious issues on the line, says Edward. 110% agree, man. I just feel like the Bengals aren't trying too much. I know I think they've held some open practices and trainings for guys to come onto the field, but I haven't seen the Bengals make any moves really. And it's kind of sad. It is actually it's really frustrating, to be honest, to see that we got the guy for the future, but he may not be in the future plans if we can't protect him and get serious about changing that O-line. And, I know it's early in the season, but they keep saying, they're staying positive in the, after the game and they're getting interviewed and stuff, and they stay positive, hey, it's early, we just had a bad game, chill out. I get that, but I'm not mad that we lost the game necessarily, as I am the obliviousness to know that this offensive line isn't the answer, nor is it even the wrong answer or the right answer or any of the above. It is just awful, and we're gonna get Burrow hurt if we don't do something about it rather quickly than later. It's just the truth. So that's the point. I'm not necessarily sad that we lost. I'm more sad that we got our guy and we're gonna get him hurt because of a lack of effort to go get replacements up on that front offensive line. And I know we talked in the Discord, people believe offensive lines come at a premium in today's NFL. It's really hard to trade for offensive linemen because they're a premium and you got to give up a lot of value. But at some point, man, guys like AJ Green and other guys who obviously don't want to be on this team anymore, is it going to be worth to get rid of them? I don't know. And we'll find out over these next few weeks getting close to this trade deadline. It's going to be interesting what we do, for sure. I really think that Zach Taylor needs some help with play calling. I think you need to bring someone in to call the plays or the coordinators to do the play calling. Yeah, and I know a lot of people have been saying that lately, that maybe this offense, maybe him being a head coach is a little too much. Maybe we need someone just to focus on this, and that, and not a guy doing both. I think it's a little too early to tell, but, depending on how this season keeps going, I don't think it's a bad decision to look elsewhere. Not necessarily to fire him as a head coach, but to either replace him as a head coach, move him to OC, or move someone else to OC. I know the Bengals are a very aggressive team when it comes to, how the organization's built with coaching and everything. But yeah, I think it's a little too early to tell. But yeah, I agree. And it's so hard to say that because who knows what this offense would look with a good offensive line, or even just an average offensive line would look totally different with the play calling. I know Zach Taylor loves doing, the 4 and 5 out, and a lot of it, likes being very aggressive with that. But he would be able to have a lot more success using that if we had some blocking up front. Our defense is not looking too bad, especially since everyone is hurt. No, I mean, we held Lamar Jackson to 30 points. Held him under 30 points. I think our defense is looking good for what we've been going through. No Trey Waynes for the whole season. DJ Reader is going to be out for the season. We've had guys who had knick-knack injuries the whole season. Guys that are in and out week to week. Geno Atkins started. He barely freaking played. I think considering what what we've had to go through for this defense and how young it is, half the starters are freaking rookies or 2nd or 3-year guys. No, I am impressed for our defense, and I think the future is bright as long as these guys can stay healthy. When Carlos Dunlap, as he's regressing, I did think we're gonna have a big hole at the end position as he's regressing. We need someone to step up and take the spot. Sam Hubbard, got to see more out of him. Obviously, he's hurt. Hopefully, he's good to play. We'll have to see. I think Carl Lawson's definitely the future on the other side for sure. I'm sold on Carl Lawson. He looks great. I think when it comes to linebacker core, I think our linebacking core is great. Logan Wilson, I've talked about him a lot this previous week. He is the guy. I love Logan Wilson. He's played great. 2 interceptions in, I think, 4 or 5 games because he missed a game. So he's been fantastic. I think he needs to get a little bit more aggressive. I feel like he's trying to be a little too conservative, but I'd like to see more out of him. But, he's a rookie. You got to give him his time. Akeem Davis-Gathers, we want to see more out of him. I think he has a half sack or 1 sack on the season already. I think he's the right side linebacker or left side. I can't remember which side. But, he's doing a lot more of the blitzing and getting into the back zone, getting back to the quarterback. I think he's been doing great. And, Jermaine Pratt has been doing well. And, Josh Bynes, who I don't think will return next year, I think he's been great as well, too, as kind of the veteran on that defense to step up. Then you got Von Bell and Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates is the freaking future. Jesse Bates is the future. I predicted that this will be his first Pro Bowl or his All-Star vote or whatever you want to call it since there really isn't a Pro Bowl game. I still think that he will get voted if there are votes. So, at 24 years old, Jesse Bates is probably a top 3, top 5 safety in the league. Von Bell, I think, has been doing good. I know last week he struggled tremendously guarding Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is a beast. We slowed him down in the second half big time, but that first half, Mark Andrews was just tossing around Von Bell like he was a teddy bear. But made some changes, looked different in the second half, and looked totally better. I like Von Bell. I think he has to keep accumulating to the new defense, but let's see what you guys are saying. We'll not get anything good for Green, maybe a 4th, but if I doubt anyone will offer much if he does show up the next few weeks. Well, I kind of disagree. I think, I keep saying this, trade deadline, teams that think they're 1 player away will get desperate. I think the Bengals have a good shot of getting, an offensive lineman or a decent draft pick mid-round. I think we can get some type of value with him during the trade deadlines. I think people forget how desperate teams get when it's week 7, week 8. Going to that trade deadline, all these teams think they're 1 player away. They're 1 player away. I think we froze a little bit. But anyways, these teams think they're 1 player away. They're 1 player away. And a guy like AJ Green, even though he hasn't performed as well, knowing that there is a chance of how good of a security blanket he can be, I think some teams are going to want to take that risk. But we'll have to see. Bengals Colts is a winnable game for the Bengals. Totally agree, my man. Totally agree. I was watching Wilson's draft profile, and they said that he's too conservative, and that's really his only con. Yeah, man, I think he's been a little conservative as well, but, he's only played 4 games in his entire NFL career, no preseason, no nothing. He's came in to a starting spot to a middle linebacker for an NFL team. I think I can catch him a break. He has 2 interceptions through 5 games because he's missed 1 game in the NFL, so I love him, man. I think he's been great so far. I really think he's future. Jesse Bates will be in the top 100. Probably not because they don't value any Cincinnati Bengals players. But I don't really look at stuff like that, the rankings, because they just don't value small market franchises, unfortunately. Any other topics you guys want to hit on? Trying to focus back towards the Colts game. Talked about quarterback matchup. Joe Burrow has If Darius Leonard is out, that's going to be huge. Colts have a pretty decent defense. Pretty good. Nothing great, but nothing terrible. So we're going to see how they are going to be able to hold or contain Burrow coming off a terrible game. Obviously, he was faced with the Ravens' defensive front literally running for his life and his head with him. So I think after last week, Burrow's definitely going to show some resilience and come back and definitely trying to improve on his performance a week ago. Our secondary should have at least 2 picks this week. Yeah, that's definitely going to be one of my predictions, is going to be a secondary turnover, just because 4 touchdowns, 5 picks for Philip Rivers. He has not been too great so far. 2 picks last week, 0 touchdowns against the Browns. I expect to see more of that this week. I'm going to start writing some of my predictions down. So at the middle of the stream, end of the stream, I'll get to it. Some mock drafts have us taking Wyatt Davis, the best guard in the country from Ohio State. Isn't that what they said about Michael Jordan, the other guard we got from Ohio State? Remember when we kept drafting our offensive line, they kept being bust? Or what about, isn't Billy Price from Ohio State too? Wasn't he really good? Yeah, what happened about him? Look, man, I want to keep drafting guys, but at some point you got to go spend a pretty dollar or trade somebody and actually get someone who's proven themselves. Ohio State this, Ohio State that. Look how the guys we have gotten have turned out. Sam Hubbard, I know he's from Ohio State, totally different though. He's been a beast. Hopefully he's good and ready for the game, but they say this and that about a guy and they come into the NFL and they get their butt whooped. I think our D plays well this week, yeah, and I think they played well last week too compared to the circumstances they were dealt with. Having DJ Reader go out. I want to use Trey Waynes, but at this point, you haven't played with him for already a month and a half, so I don't think he's really a big decision. Yeah, Price was the best center from OSU. I think, wasn't the Michael Jordan kid from OSU too? The guard? I might be wrong, but I know he was supposed to be really good. What happened to him? No, they didn't say that about Michael Jordan, at least to my knowledge. They don't see us drafting the top 10. I mean, at this point, where are we in the draft? Probably top 10, right? I don't know why they don't see us there, but unless they see us turning around. Let's see what you said. We need to shut down the Cuts run game 110%. Let's go ahead and look up their Colts stats so far. That's a good point. And one of their running backs is on the injury list. I don't think it's one of their starting guys, but it's one of their guys. I know we keep saying like trade AJ for a draft pick or an offensive lineman, but even if we let him walk, then we're gonna have free agency money, not with the contract that we were to give him, that can go towards a star offensive lineman. As a Bengals fan, what are you going for? A 33, 34, 35-year-old AJ Green or a top 5, top 10 offensive lineman at any given position? What are you guys going for? Tough call, Bengals fans, but who are you going for? If we don't trade him, we let him walk, and so we don't have to pick up a contract, which would be around 10 to 15 million range. For AJ Green right now, probably no cheaper than 8 to 15 million is where he's probably valued at. Obviously, you take away the stats, just the name. We let him walk. We have that extra money because we didn't sign him. Do we re-sign him for 3 years? So we have a 33, 34, 35-year-old AJ Green, or do we get a star offensive lineman? You guys let me know. Billy Price has been a bust, says William on Facebook. Yeah, he has not been too great. And, he's that guy from Ohio State, right? Just like the other guys, right? No, it's time to go sign an offensive lineman. Sign AJ, $8 million, 2 years. And I don't know if I know he hasn't played good, guys. I know. I'm not oblivious. I see the stats. He's played awful this year. But he's on a franchise tag for $18 million. And just a couple months ago, he was wanting 15 plus. And yeah, I know he has played very poorly, But still, I mean, somebody's going to go out there and pay him more than that. Will he take a little bit of a pay cut just to retire here, where he already seems frustrated and fed up with the Bengals organization, or go somewhere else, retire somewhere else, and go get paid? I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'm taking a good offensive lineman all day. Love AJ Green, watched him growing up, but I think we have other guys to step up and take that position over the next few years. So, moving on. Running back. So, the rushing game, the rushing leader is going to be Jonathan Taylor, 307 rushing yards. He's having a 4.0 average, so a good GPA and a good average. 3 touchdowns a game. He's averaging 61 yards a game. So, they have been sharing the rock a little bit. You have Marlon Mack, who I believe got hurt. Yeah, he's out for the season, I believe. Only 1 game played. You have Nyheim Hines, 26 attempts, 81 yards. And then you have Jordan Wilkins, 5 games played, 28 attempts for 95 yards, 0 touchdowns. So, and I believe he's the one that's questionable for this week. Yeah. So, I mean, the rushing game really doesn't scare me too much. It's more their offensive line. I think the reason why, Jonathan Taylor is having as much success as he is because of offensive line. When you have that good of offensive line blocking up front for you, really don't matter who you have in the backfield. Obviously, it's going to be the difference between a game changer and a not. But if you have a good offensive line, no matter who you put in the backfield, he's going to produce at least 3.5 yards per down. So the rush game doesn't scare me too much as their offensive line. And I think that's why we got to see how healthy our defensive line is. That's going to depend on all the pressure we get on these guys. Let's see what we're saying. I don't think we'll sign top-tier free agency, though, sadly. This is because of our free agency this year is getting paid and injured. I mean, that could shy us away, but I would still be highly disappointed if we decided not to. I'm going to be quite honest. If we're going to go out there and spend money on Trey Waynes but not on an offensive lineman, that'd be pretty upsetting. I'm not going to lie. And you might be right. You might be right. The Bengals organization might say, it was pretty bad, but, Joe Burrow will be all right. We don't need to go sign anybody. We'll just draft him. And you might be right. I just would be pretty, I'd be pretty upset. Taylor does have some bad route concepts. They're not being run correctly. That is why AJ is frustrated. I think there's a little bit more to that than why AJ is frustrated. I'm sure he's more frustrated than just that. I'm sure there's more than that. But, yeah, and I think a problem is Zach Taylor, running these 4 and 5 outs. A lot of these plays, these routes, that AJ Green being receiver 1, he's probably running a lot of deep routes that take a couple seconds to develop, but then Burrow has to get the ball out within 2.5 seconds before he's getting, tackled on his butt. So he probably can't even get the ball to AJ Green for his route to develop. I mean, I'm sure that's definitely a big factor why, but I'm sure it's a lot more than just that, and I think that's the situation where people are kind of pointing all this on Zach Taylor and, hey, man, are you sure you're good to be a head coach and an offensive coordinator? Like, can you do both? I feel like that's where a lot of people lately have been kind of pointing their finger on him. There's been a lot of fingers pointing on a lot of players and people in the Bengals organization this past few weeks, but I think that's a big reason why. It's because does he have a big enough pants to do both? Can he fulfill the play calling and, the time management, game management as a head coach? I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure that's a big reason. Being receiver 1, a lot of those routes are downfield big-time plays. And, those plays could probably take 3 to 5 seconds to develop. Joe Burrow rarely gets over 2.5 seconds to throw the ball. So I'm sure that's a big reason. I would not sign AJ, especially since he's been mad-mouthing the team. We'll see. AJ is used to being Dalton's main target, and now that he has Burrow that's spreading the ball around. And you got to think, AJ's not in his prime anymore. Like, he has to be pretty out of his mind to think that he's still in his prime, because he's not. He's definitely lost a step. He's still AJ Green. He's still a talent. He still has an unbelievable, physical physique at a receiver position. 6'4", lengthy. He can go up moss anybody. He can go make these amazing catches. But for him to want to blame Burrow, I just don't see that being Burrow's fault Burrow's going to go to whoever he thinks is most reliable to get the ball. And there's been a lot of, every time I feel like he goes to AJ Green drops it, or, Burrow overthrows it or something. And it's just, they've never been in sync. They've always had miscommunication between the two. But when it comes to Tyler Boyd, they're always in sync. When it comes to T. Higgins, they're always in sync. That's not Burrow's fault. That's just how he warms up to. And I think the Bengals need to realize that, if that is true or whatever the situation may be, and, looking into this offseason, looking to the trade deadline, be able to figure things out and see what's going on. And same thing with the Auden Tate situation. A few weeks ago, Auden Tate went out there to social media and was crying out, saying, I did this, I do that. Why am I not getting the ball? He was upset with his receptions, but I don't really see Burrow heading his way too much. I don't really see Burrow going his way too much, so. I sent you a text I feel would be a good fit. Okay, I'll look at it. Give me 1 second. What's up, LT? It's good to see you too, my man. I sent those DC TV merch. If you got in contact with me, I sent out a lot of DC TV merch out this morning. So depending on where you live, could be within the next few days or week, you might have some mail. What's up, guys? If you are now joining the stream, we are 51 minutes live into this Bengals stream. If you haven't already, take 5 seconds out of your day, smash that like button for me. It really helps all the support. Hit this subscribe button if you're on YouTube to take over this name spot, and you'll pop on screen. And if you're on Facebook, follow the stream, and your name will also pop up as well. Appreciate all the support, guys. Make sure to join the DCTV family. What do you think about Donald Penn? Why does that name sound so familiar? Football offensive tackle Donald Penn's American football tackle is currently a free agent. Utah State, signed by Minnesota Vikings, undrafted free agent in 2006. Well, I mean, he's 37 years old, but if he can block somebody, I say why not? He is 37 years old, but like I said, if he can block somebody, bring him in. For sure. Don't know too much about him, though. I'm going to be honest with you, William. Don't know too much. I'll have to look into that for sure. Got to go to the open man. Exactly, Edward. And if A.J. Green's not getting open, he's going to throw it to somebody who is. He shouldn't just target A.J. Green because the back of his jersey says Green. Like, I'm sorry, it's the truth. I don't blame Burrow for that. That goes back to last year at the Minnesota Vikings and the Stephon Diggs situation. He felt like he should be getting the ball more. He went out there, made a lot of, said a lot of publicly bad things with the Vikings and made a bad moves, skipping practice and stuff like that. Now he's on the Bills and he's like leading the league in receiving because he went to a team that's actually utilizing him. So it is what it is. That's the NFL. That's players talk. That's what happens in today's NFL. It's just what happens. It's just what happens. Ever since the fight with Ramsey, AJ has digressed. Maybe got into his head, man. I mean, look at what Jalen Ramsey has become. A freaking monster. Jalen Ramsey's been a beast. I believe we were on a topic. Oh, yeah, Drake said you sent me something. Let me see if I can bring that up, Drake. Does anybody want to come talk live on the show? We're an hour in. I don't mind taking a little break and letting you guys talk. So does anybody want to come talk on the show live? All you're going to do is call in. Your face won't be shown or anything. And you're just going to talk about what you think is going to happen on this preview and prediction. Let me know in the comment section right now, Facebook or YouTube. Let me know if you guys want to come live onto the stream and talk some Cincinnati sports. I think that's the reason we drafted T in the second, so we have AJ's replacement ready, and he's done nothing but impress. I totally agree, Drake. So Drake is just saying that, drafting T. Higgins was kind of some foresight of looking towards the future, of possibly being Green's replacement in the future. And I think people forget T. Higgins is only 21 years old, or 22, 21. The camera's backwards on my screen for first, which it's like inverted. But 21 years old. I think people that's such a slept-on number. He's a rookie and Joe Burrow is rookie, and they're 3 years apart. Burrow is 24 and T. Higgins is 21. And I think people forget about that. Like, when it comes to his actual contract, he's only going to be 24, 25 years old. That's insane. So, yeah, I think they definitely looked at T. Higgins and said this could be the guy for the future. Similar appearance to A.J. Green. He was A.J. Green's fair player growing up. That's who he made his game after. So I definitely feel like, if A.J. Green did move on, the Bengals would be like, we got our guys. Tyler Boyd's could be a receiver one in the league if he keeps improving. You move up T. Higgins, Alden Tate if he continues to improve, and then maybe we draft somebody else. I wouldn't be too surprised in the middle rounds next year if we draft a receiver. Round 4, 5, and 6. I wouldn't be surprised if we draft a receiver next year. Maybe another John Ross type player, a quick short guy that can get there, breaking records. Someone that maybe gets slept on a little bit. I could see it happening. Yeah, props to Burrow going to the man that's first open and not forcing it. Totally agree. And I think that's only going to continue improving, choice selection and awareness and stuff like that as he plays. A lot of people have said, in recent games his poor pocket awareness and him holding onto the ball too long, not having good awareness and making mistakes like that. But I think people forget the dude's played like 5 NFL games. I know this isn't really an excuse anymore because we're a month and a half into football, but, no preseason, very little time to practice in the offseason. I think a lot of people forget, like, dude's played like 5 games in the NFL. Like, he's going to make some mistakes. He's a real human being. Yes, he's the first pick in the NFL draft, but the guy is going to make mistakes. He's human, and it is what it is. Higgins, Boyd, Mixon, Burrow, and our future is very bright. We just need that O-line. Yeah, and I totally agree. Higgins, Boyd, Mixon, Burrow, they're definitely going to be holding down this offense for a long time. I think people forget how young Boyd is. I mean, he's just now about to be getting into his prime. Back-to-back 1K seasons, about to be back-to-back 1K seasons. He stays healthy. He's getting another 1,000-yard season. He's definitely on pace to obtaining that so far. So, I agree. And our defense, we have guys like Jesse Bates. I think Carl Lawson is definitely solid for our future. Logan Wilson, I know he's kind of hard to put in there because he's only played 4 games, but I think he is. I really do have a lot of trust in Logan Wilson. I think those 3 guys will really hold us down for the future. If we re-sign Mackenzie Alexander, we got Trey Waynes for a couple more years once he comes back. William Jackson, if we re-sign William Jackson. Yeah. Bengals have placed Sam Hubbard. Did they place him on the IR? Or because I thought it was only day to day. I could be wrong. But the IR is weird this year. The IR is weird this year because of COVID. Like in previous years, it's like for the season. But with COVID, it's like a 3 or 4 week IR. I'm pretty sure. So. What's up, Night Wolves? Appreciate you joining the stream, my man. Appreciate you always supporting. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to take a sip of water real quick. JB3 was only 2021 when we drafted him. Yeah, JB3 has been great. I love JB3. And that's, the difference between drafting real young guys. I mean, they're all young, 21 to 24 years old, they're all young. But, drafting a guy, 21 years old like T. Higgins, super young, it's a big difference versus a guy like Joe Burrow, 24. Now, matter of fact, those are 2 different positions. Quarterbacks last a lot longer in the NFL than receivers do. So, every position's different. I'm an absolute love with that Wilson pick. Looking like he's going to be a steal. Yeah, Logan Wilson has looked fantastic. He had that one concussion that hopefully he's all good and healthy and ready to go for the rest of the season. But outside of that, and, he's been conservative. He's played conservative, and he still has 2 interceptions through 4 or 5 games. Like, really? That's conservative? I'd love to see his aggressive play. And I think that's going to happen once our D-line is more solicited. There's some word right there I'm trying to find and use, but I can't think of it. Anyway, once our D-line, I'll just say, is solid and ready to go in week to week, and it's all good and it's solid, I'm just going to continue using that word. I think that's when our linebackers, our secondary, can be more aggressive. But I think our D-line, DJ Reader out for the season, Geno Atkins barely playing, Sam Hubbard, possibly on the IR. And then, Carl Lawson's really been the only solid guy. Carlos Dunlap has gotten benched. I feel like our D-line, who we thought was going to be top 5, top 10 in the league, possibly. I just feel like it really hasn't been there this year with injuries and everything, which is pretty unfortunate. Whenever we go against the Ravens, it doesn't even feel like a game. I don't get mad about it. I mean, last year is totally different. The previous years, I definitely feel like we put up a fight against the Ravens every game. Last year was different with every game, not just the Ravens. But, yeah, I mean, going into that game, I expected the Bengals to lose. I mean, yeah, I had my prediction the Bengals winning, essentially. But you got to be realistic at some point. A lot of people have the Ravens as a top 10, top 5 team in the NFL. Not in the division, like top 5, top 3 team in the NFL. So I think a lot of people forget about the Ravens sometimes. And it's always hard to look at them like that because, the division. But the division we're in is just so good. The division we're in is so good. It's ridiculous. The Steelers are 3-0. The Ravens are 3-1. The Browns are 3-1, and then the 1-2-1 Bengals. I'll repeat that again. The Steelers are 3-0, the Ravens are 3-1, and the Browns are 3-1. I think a lot of people forget how competitive this division is going to be this year. I feel like we're going up against the best of the best just within our division. We're not paying Patrick Mahomes. We're playing Lamar Jackson twice a year. We're playing a really, talented Browns team twice a year, and then a Steelers team that they have a good defense. And oh my gosh, by the time we play the Steelers, I hope we figure out a game plan for blocking Joe Burrow and protecting Burrow. I hope we have a game plan by then. I really do, because the Steelers, man, I don't think their offense is all that. I think it can be stopped with a good defensive game plan, but their defensive front and their rushing scheme getting to the quarterback, I think it's going to cause some problems for Burrow if we don't have some solutions to this offensive line by then. He's not missing tackles as well. Yeah, talking about Logan Wilson for sure. CBS has us taking Jamar Chase in the first round this year. Okay. Report out Ravens DC upset about the field goal. Already talking up the next game and how they're going to hurt us for scoring. A little confused by that. Report is out. DC upset about the field goal and no shut. Oh, how it wasn't a shutout. Man, I don't care. I don't know what a win is a win, a loss is a loss. I don't really understand why people need a shutout to feel so good about themselves, as if winning by 20 plus points isn't good enough. But a shutout, oh man, that has to feel so good. Get over yourself. I think that's what you're hitting on. If that is, let me know. But hopefully they don't resort to dirty plays trying to hurt our guys. Man, I don't even want to talk about the Pittsburgh game coming up. I don't. We could have 2 wildcard teams in the AFC North. We're going to have 2 playoff teams. That's a fact. But, the 2 wildcard teams, we'll have to see. But we'll have 2 playoff teams in our division. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's probably going to be the Ravens and then Browns or Steelers, and depending on what we can do. Like I said, coming into the season, I just wanted a respectable 5-6 win season, minimal, and my goal was 8 wins. But at 1-2-1, I think we should be at least 2-2 so far. But and if we were 2-2, it'd be so funny because it'd be 3-0, 3-1-1, or 3-0, 3-1, 3-1, 2-2, and be like, wow. That division is insane. So, yeah. Yeah, it's just so crazy how good this division is. Hopefully we don't have a repeat of Carson's knee injury. If Burrow were to get hurt, and this is the only reason why I'm saying we need to figure out this offense line sooner rather than later, because if Burrow were to get hurt, the national media would rip and tear and spit and stomp all over the Cincinnati Bengals organization. And it would cause so much drama in the locker room, and it would be so bad. And I think people don't think about that because there's really no reason to unless you're talking about it on a podcast live on YouTube. But if it would get so bad, so bad if Burrow were to get hurt. The national media would rip the Brown family apart for the ownership of the Bengals, would rip Zach Taylor apart. It would get so, I don't even want to talk about it and think about how bad it would get. It would get so bad. So bad. It would be so bad. Imagine if the Chiefs were in our division. I mean, at this point, our division's already so good. I couldn't even imagine it in there. Like, we have a 3-0, 3-1, and 3-1 team. Like, our division's already so good, man. And at least I don't mind it just because Burrow, in his rookie season right away, is playing top-tier talent, is, knowing what he has to face in the future. I honestly don't mind it. I don't think Steelers are going to be good for long because they don't have their guy at quarterback after Big Ben. I don't think James Conner or any of the rushing attack is the future. I think Juju's pretty good. And that defense, we'll have to see if they can hold those guys together because that defense is what's really holding that Steelers team together. But I think if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, the Ravens will be good for a while. And then the Browns, I don't think the Browns will be able to hold together all their pieces over the next few years when it comes to re-signing guys like Odell, Jarvis, guys like that. I don't know if they'll be able to. And then when it comes up to the resign of, in the future, when it comes to Baker Mayfield, what are they going to do with Baker? Because I don't think that team is 3-1 because of Baker. I think they're 3-1 because the roster they have around Baker. So we'll have to see. I was saying that because the injury was on a dirty hit by Pitt. Yep. I really hope we can get an O-line quick. Burrow is our future, and if we lose him, we are screwed. Yeah, man, and like I said, if Burrow were to get hurt, man, it's not even about his future or being a Bengals fan. We would just hear so much within the national media. It would ruin this locker room apart. It would tear this locker room apart. It would be so bad. You must have just came in. Thoughts on the AJ Green trade? I'm not going to get too much into details again. If you want to, you can go earlier in the stream. We've been live for about an hour and 10 minutes. We've talked about AJ Green for probably 30, 45 minutes already. My thoughts are if he were to get traded, it'll probably be around the trade deadline when teams that feel like they're one step away get desperate and trade for players. I feel like that's when he would be traded. I said, as a Bengals fan, you can't be on AJ's side anymore just because the name on the back of his jersey. You got to be realistic. The NFL's a business. And when you see a guy out there disrespecting the team, the organization, and just not being happy and just showing his lack of effort on the team, at some point you got to get upset and think, what are your options for the future? That's about all I'm going to say. It's kind of a little wrap-up of everything we talked about. But if you want to see more, just go back probably 30 minutes ago into the stream and see how much we talked about AJ Green. So, yeah. If we had to go to a line, we would be 4-1. There's no telling. But if we had to go to O-line, I would feel a lot more confident in what we could do on the offense. I feel like we have so many weapons, but our hands are tied up within the weapons because our O-line, because we don't have a lot of time to throw, because it hurts our rushing game, because our run block isn't good. I feel like we have all these weapons and talent on this offensive team. And it's not that they're going to waste, but it's hard to use them because this offensive line is just tying up everything we can do. I'm sure Zach Taylor, deep into his offensive playbook, he has all these fancy and shiny plays that require a blocking offensive line to run, not just little dump passes, little dink-dunk passes, slants and out routes and screens, but these deep routes that we want to throw. They always talk about they want to capitalize on the deep plays. And I feel like they could do a lot, better of a job within that if we had a better offensive line. So there's no telling of a record we could have, but there's a lot telling that we could do a lot more. That's for sure. Yo, guys, we are an hour and 10 minutes into the stream. If you haven't already, hit that like button. We were at 22 likes. I want to push that to at least 25, 30 likes right now. So if you're in the stream, YouTube or Facebook, leave a like on the stream. Share the stream. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button to take over this recent subscriber spot right here. And you can always donate to the stream if you'd like to do that as well. I'd say soon here in about 10, 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less. I think I'm going to get my score prediction here. Let me see what the average this Colts are scoring. The average points scored for the Colts. That's not what I wanted. What are the receiver and cornerback matchups looking like? We can go over that for sure. Give me just 1 second. I want to see what the Colts have been putting up points-wise. Okay, so 20 points, 28 points, 36 points, 19 points, and 23 points. Okay. That gives me a good number in my head for the Colts. Okay. 28, 20. But if you guys haven't already, get your score predictions together because I want to know what they are. Get your score predictions going. Start considering things because that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Okay. I got my point total for the Colts. All right, I got my score prediction. I'm not going to say it now. But, yeah, what I'll do what Drake said, and that was receiver and cornerback matchups. I know that they have Xavier Rhodes, who kind of came back from the Vikings, and kind of revamped his career so far with the Colts. He's done pretty well, to be honest. You know, he was at one time a top 10 cornerback in the league. Some would argue top 5 Pro Bowler. You know, just a menace. The roads closed, and then he came back in and kind of ruined his career with the Bengals and came to the Colts, and the Colts have kind of revamped his career, which has been really exciting to see for him. So, defensively for the Colts, they have Rock Ya-Sin and TJ Carey for their corners. Obviously, those are their top 2 guys, I believe. So, you know, they're going to be guarding AJ and Tyler, probably a little bit of T. Higgins. Free safety, they have Julian Blackman. And then for their safety, they have Kalari Willis. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And then they obviously have Xavier Rhodes and Tremon Smith as well in corner. So, you know, Xavier being 6'2", he's probably going to be matched up with T, if I had to guess. Yeah, or Auden Tate when Auden Tate comes in the game. I don't know if they would match him up on AJ. Don't know if they have that much confidence on him already. We'd have to see. I mean, when he was playing, he was a good man-to-man guy. So we'll have to see depending on what they line up as. Now, obviously, they have Darius Leonard, who is the anchor of this defense. Just a total freaking monster. He is questionable for this week's game, so we'll have to see how healthy he will be. DeForest Buckner, also, you know, the middleman of that defensive front. Are we going to be able to run the ball this game? I don't really think it's on Mixon. I think it's on our O-line. Will we be able to? We'll have to find out. And DeForest Buckner is going to be trying to cause as much havoc as possible, that's for sure. They also have Justin Houston, Grover Stewart, and a couple of other guys manning down that defense for sure. Rhodes should be on Boyd then, so T should have a good game. I honestly don't know if Rhodes would be on Boyd. We'll have to see. I don't know if they had that much confidence on him. I mean, he was a guy who came into free agency just being a nobody. They signed him, and he's been a freaking monster for him, kind of revamping his career, so we'll have to see. So, I have my score prediction, and I have some of my game time predictions here as well. Let me go ahead and write these down. All right. So I'm gonna go with my game time decisions. So, 2 turnovers is my game time prediction. I believe will at least cause 2+ turnovers. Phillip Rivers and his Colts offense has done a bad job taking care of the ball, and I believe if we can get some pressure, just a little bit of pressure on Phillip Rivers, he's not a very mobile quarterback. So if we force some pressure, collapse the pocket, I believe we can at least get 2 turnovers. If I had to be more specific, probably at least 1 interception and maybe a forced fumble, or maybe 2 interceptions. We'll have to see. I just think 2 turnovers is a good number for the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Going on to the offensive side of the ball, I think Higgins will have at least 1 touchdown and 75+ yards. I think he has a good shot of breaking out in this game, coming back, getting some more confidence. Depending on who Xavier Rhodes is on and their secondary, who I think isn't the best, I think Higgins could really take advantage. 1 touchdown, 75 yards, boom. Carl Lawson going back on to the defensive side. I think with Carlos Dunlap being a question mark, and same with Sam Hubbard on their game time plan, I think Carl Lawson will step up and at least have 1 sack, if not 1.5 sacks. I think he has a time to shine, to step in and come prove himself again. So I think we'll see Carl Lawson step up. I think Mixon will at least get 1 touchdown, if not more, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. I'm just going to stick with 1 minimal touchdown. I think we'll see Mixon punch 1 in at least once. Last but not least, I think Burrow will at least see 2 total touchdowns, possibly passing, maybe 1 rushing. I do think Burrow will at least get 14 points on the board for the Bengals. Now, time for my score prediction. My score prediction for this week's game is going to be 26, the Cincinnati Bengals, to 20, the Indianapolis Colts. That's my score prediction, 26 Bengals, 20 Colts. I kind of average a little bit of both of their scoring points. Bengals have had 30. They've also had 3. So I think 20 is a good mix against this defense. And then, the same thing with the Colts. Colts have had a lot of points, and then they've had, not that many points because of the turnover. So I think 26-20 Bengals, and this could change. Come to the stream Sunday at noon. This might change. I don't know yet. We'll have to see. But I think this is a possibility that score could change. But my keys to win, so far my main key to win is definitely the turnover battle. I think if we can limit turnovers and cause more turnovers, I think we have a greater chance of winning this game against the Colts. So my key to win is turnover battle. I also think getting our receivers cooking, getting Burrow some confidence. I think after the week that offense had, getting some confidence back on our side and some momentum is a huge thing. And getting started early. I say it week in and week out, and I'm going to say it again this week. You got to get on the points. You got to get on the board first and not play from behind. Those are going to be my 3. Those are going to be my 3 keys to win. So once again, I'll repeat it one more time. My 3 keys to win is going to be to win the turnover battle. 2 is to get some Burrow confidence. You got to get some confidence on this offense. Even if it's not Burrow, that Joe-to-Joe confidence. Either Mixon needs some confidence, Burrow needs some confidence. The whole offense needs some confidence and some momentum. Last but not least, we need to get on the board first. We need to play ahead and not from behind. My player predictions, game time predictions, 2 turnovers from our defense. Higgins will have 1 touchdown, 75+ yards. Carl Lawson will have 1+ sacks. Mixon will have at least 1 touchdown. And Burrow will have at least 2 total touchdowns. And then my score prediction. This isn't my final score prediction, but my score prediction, as of knowing everything I know right now, on Thursday afternoon is going to be 26-20 Bengals. But depending on what happens, awaiting Sunday morning stream at noon. These are my three. This is my three everything. Let me know right now if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Let me know what yours is right now, all your predictions and everything, and let me know right now your thoughts. Did you see the Pro Bowl got canceled? Yes, I did. I'm going to assume they're still going to be doing voting. I would assume they would still do voting and just not the game, because I saw that they were still doing fun activities. I think that's what they said. So, fun activities. I would assume they still do voting, so I still at least see Jesse Bates in that voting. Nightwolf says 38-35 Bengals, so he has a shootout. Okay. Oh, I missed you up there, Nandan. You said Bengals mock draft 2021. White Davis, Elijah Vera, Nick Bolton, D'Angelo Malone, Cole Van Laren, Dan Newsome, and Kadarius Toney. And to be honest, don't know half those guys because I haven't watched much of college football because I don't really think it's going to pan out this year. But I like it. Did you see the AJ Green conference? I sure did. WHODEY. Don't sleep on Justin Houston. The dude's a beast. Yeah, Justin Houston's a beast. And like I said, a good defensive front that we're playing. I do think their secondary is shaky. I think we can, if our offensive line holds up, buys Burrow a little bit of time, enough time, I think that we shouldn't have problems. And I think we need to force Phillip Rivers and this Colts offense to play from behind. I think if we can at least get up ahead by a field goal or, one possession game, I think if we force Phillip Rivers, apply some pressure on him to make some, force some throws, which he's done already, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. If we can force him to make mistakes and feel like he needs to get the ball out, I feel like we're in it to win it for sure. I think our chances definitely go up. Yeet said I want us to win, but I think the Colts will win. Hey, everyone's personally to their own opinion. The key to win is our O-line not playing like a useless bag of meatloaf. Yeah, I think it's pretty well said. What's up, Hunter? Green to Pats for a 5th and 7th, 2021. We'll have to see. And like I said, if Green does get traded and it's close to the trade deadline, Patriots are usually one of those teams that feel like they're one piece away. There's going to be a couple of those teams, Buccaneers, Saints, Patriots. There's going to be a couple of teams that believe that are one piece away. And they're going to want someone by the name of AJ Green. So we'll see. 38-35 Bengals, says Nightwolves. Colts defense is good, and so is the O-line. The Colts defense is good, so O-line needs to play. Yeah, the Colts defense is good. I think their secondary is pretty shaky. I do like their defensive front. They really have some game-changing guys. If Darius Leonard is out, that is huge for the Bengals. I know he's been questionable all week in practice. I believe he hasn't participated in practice yet. So if that's definitely going to be huge for us if he's out. Oh, that's a good one. What are your thoughts on the Jets releasing Bell? I think the Jets organization's a hot dumpster fire right now. I think they kind of had their hands tied up, and I think they just made a bad financial situation bringing him on in the first place. I feel like Bell played as well as he did because of the Pittsburgh offensive line. He then goes to the Jets after sitting out an entire year of not playing a single snap, and he didn't have one game over 100 yards. And he only had one game over 75 yards. He played 17 games in the Jets uniform and only had one game over 75 yards and not a single game over 100 yards. And within those 17 games, he made $28 million. I just think it was a bad decision bringing him on the first place. So I feel like they really didn't have a decision. No one wants to trade for him because he talks shit about every team he plays for. He talked crap about the Steelers. That's why the Steelers let him go. And then he talked crap about the Jets, and that's why the Jets let him go. So who wants to bring on a player that just talks smack about the organization? I don't really think they had a choice. Colts defense is so good, and the O-line is... Oh, wait, we already said that. Bench Joe before he gets hurt real bad. I think there are other things we can do before benching Joe. How good do you think the Titans are? I think the Titans are legit. I think the Titans definitely could be a playoff team. They have, they don't have any fantastic talent, but they have a game plan and they stick to it every week. Every week. Week in and week out, they have a game plan and they just do it. They're known. People know what they're going to do. And that's what's so good is when you have a game plan and you stick to that game plan and your opponents know the game plan but can't stop it, that's when you're good. When you have a known game plan throughout your organization and the opposing team knows it too and they can't stop it, you're a good team. I like the Titans. I don't think they'll be a Super Bowl contender, but I do think they can make the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill is a very solid quarterback who doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's not Patrick Mahomes slinging 300, 400 yards, a couple touchdowns. He just does what he has to do and limits turnovers. And then they have Derrick Henry, who is obviously a freaking monster, top 3 quarterback, running back in the NFL. He's a man. They have a very solid offensive line that helps Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill by some time. So a good offensive line, good, a decent quarterback that limits mistakes, a fantastic running back, and a defense who can turn the ball over as well. So I like Mike. How do you say his name? Vrabel? I don't want to say it wrong. Let me look at it. Mike Vrabel, I believe I was right. Mike Vrabel, I like him as a coach. Once again, he has a game plan, he sticks to it, and it's effective. So I like the Titans a lot. Bengals 2-13-1. Man, that ain't too positive. But think what you got to think. If that's what you think. Imagine Mixon being behind the Steelers O-line. Pitt fans are already like, Chase, don't mess this up. Yeah, I think the Le'Veon Bell situation, he had a great offensive line, a top 3 offensive line in the league, played well behind him, went to the Jets who had a bottom 3 offensive line, and that was the end of the story on that one. Did you see the stiff arm Henry had on Norman? Yeah. I was watching the game live while carving some pumpkins, man. I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I knew instantly that was going to blow up on social media. Within 5 minutes, it was trending on Twitter. There were edits. People are so quick to the edits on social media. It is insane. Within 5-10 minutes, the video of him getting stiff arm was already viral within all these funny edits. On Twitter, Instagram, it was so funny. People are quick to those edits, man. The Titans safeties are scary, as I'll get out as well. Yeah, I like the Titans defense. The defense can turn the ball over, and the offense does the complete opposite. They don't turn the ball over. The Titans have a game plan, they stick to it, and teams can't stop it. Now, I think the way to beat the Titans is to force them to play up Ryan Tannehill, to contain the rushing game, and just force Tannehill to be the guy. I think that's how you beat him. But even when you force Tannehill to be the guy, you have to force him to turn the ball over because he doesn't do it too often. So I think they're a beatable team, and I think they will lose in the playoffs. I just think they'll make the playoffs because they play chess, not checkers, man. They're a smart team, and they're going for the long run. I like them. I think they're so underrated as well. I feel like they're kind of similar to the Bengals where they're not a huge market team, so they're not in the national media week to week, and, when they're bad, they get exposed, and when they're good, they don't get enough credit. I'm always rooting for other organizations who aren't these main, franchise teams around the league. The New England Patriots, the LA teams, the New York teams like that. You know what I mean? I can really respect a team like that that's similar to the Bengals where when they're bad, they're getting exposed on national media, but when they're good, the national media really doesn't talk about them. And I feel like as a Bengals fan, I can highly relate to that when it comes to the national media. You sent me some on Messenger. I like how the Titans use multiple running backs to switch it up and keep the defense on their heels. Yeah, and to be in the situation they had where they had no practice time at all and to come in and beat the Bills and to completely have Josh Allen look like his former self, unlike the MVP he's been looking like this season, was very impressive. Very impressive. Very, very, very impressive. Let me see. Yo, if you guys haven't already, join the Discord. Let me see if I can post it up on here. Join the sports Discord. If you're in this stream and you're not in the Discord, what are you doing? This is what we do all day. We just talk Cincinnati sports. All day, every day. Let me see if I can get it for you. Not in the Discord. What are you doing? Whoops, sorry for that, guys. Join the Discord. Right there. Join that Discord. All right. What are you guys saying? We have been live for an hour and 30 minutes, so we're going to keep going for at least... I want to get to 2 hours, but it depends how many people are in here. I want to get pushed to 2 hours, hopefully. But if you guys are still in here, hit that like button. We're at like 24 likes. Let's at least push that up to 30 likes here on YouTube. Let's get a subscriber going too. If you're in here and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. Become the most recent subscriber, and your name will also pop up on the screen. Also, if you're here on Facebook, leave a like on the stream and share the stream as well. Appreciate you. Imagine if we still had Jonathan Joseph. You know how many players there are? It's like imagine if we still had, or imagine if we would have had, or imagine if we would have drafted, or imagine if we would have done this. There's just so many. The Bills are a really good team as well. Yeah, I mean, I like the Bills. I think they're a fiery team that has a good offense. I like the Bills' coaching staff as well. For sure. But obviously the Bills are a beatable team, and I think the Titans really exposed the Bills on how to beat them. And that's just to send pressure Josh Allen's way. And that's hard to do because those are two teams that have really good offensive lines. Both of those teams have really good offensive lines. Something the Bengals don't have. Where's my water? I don't know where my water went. Oh, here it is. All right. Oh, I missed you, William. I think this has been said for a while, but William on Facebook said, talk about Jesse Bates, what a monster he is. There's not a lot to say. I mean, number one Pro Football Focus, number one ranked Pro Football Focus safety in the league. He's been all over the field, deflections, tackles, disruptions. I don't think he has a turnover yet. I mean, he has a deflection that led to a turnover, but he's just all over the field, man. There's so many touchdown-saving plays he's had, and just big plays where he's came up and made a big hit. He's all over the field. All over the field. Yeah, see, the CJ Uzomah situation is really upsetting, man. To see his young talent, have the season stripped away from him. But, I mean, if there's one positive, it's to be able to see Drew Sample possibly step up and see if he's a second-round pick we drafted him as. If he's going to live up to the hype or not. The Bills D is also good, but got exposed. Made it look like high schoolers, yeah. The Bills D is also good. And like I said, I like the coaching as well. But I think the big thing is those are just two teams that have really good offensive lines. Anyways, what I'm going to do here, because I don't really have any more topics to talk about for the game, so I'm just going to look up on Bengals versus Colts on Google and see what kind of articles we can find. So Colts Wire. So this is a Colts page. The Colts Wire by USA Today Sports. What the Colts are saying about the Bengals in Week 6. The 3-2 Colts are preparing to take on the Cincinnati Bengals, a 1-3-1 team that has shown promise for the future with a young quarterback taking the helm. While the Bengals may not be competing in the AFC North this season, there have been some positive development in Cincinnati. The Colts are looking to bounce back from a tough loss on the road against the Browns, and now they have their sights set on a young Bengals team. Starting off, head coach Frank Wright has noticed that the talent on the other sideline, which begins with a rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow. Quote, "We're going up against a team with a really good young quarterback who's growing up and learning every week. I've got a lot of respect for Burrow and that he's accomplished already," Wright said Wednesday. Quote, "You can just see why he was the number 1 pick in the draft and already on the tape. He sees the field real well, just an accurate passer who can make all the throws." Wright also mentioned the skill players that will be featured in on the Bengals offense, especially the young talent and the running back Joe Mixon. Quote, "Talented running back with Mixon, big, strong, fast, elusive," Wright said. "They've got good weapons outside, so it'll be a good challenge for our defense." We'll stop there. Frank Wright really showing respect to the Bengals, Bengals team. You don't see many coaches go on there and basically break apart the whole opposing team and say, "Oh, this is good, this is good, this is good." So a lot of respect. He showed his respect towards Burrow, saying, Burrow's a good guy. We got to watch out for him. And then I like this. To hear another team say this in the NFL while all these national media analysts continue to say the Bengals organization's failing Joe Burrow because they have nothing around him. But to hear a NFL coach say this, they've got good weapons outside, so this will be a good challenge for our defense. From another NFL quarterback or coach in the league. I like to hear that. I like to hear that. Some respect. I like to hear that. It's all good, Derek. Oh, dang, that sucks, man. I hope everything's all good. Yeah, good luck this week with everything, but I hope everyone's all healthy and good, man. I hope everyone's all healthy and good. That, your health is first, Derek, for sure. But for sure, good luck this week, and I hope everyone's all good and healthy. I just heard AJ Green was traded to the Pats. That's real funny. JB3 is going to get the national attention real soon. They will be impressed. Eventually, the national media will stop sleeping. Eventually. Didn't we have a kick against the Browns? I'm confused. Anyways, I'll keep going. Quarterback Phillip Rivers isn't expecting many wide open windows in the passing lanes on Sunday. So once again, respecting our secondary this time. This by saying that the coverage is probably going to be good. It's a good it's a good defense. You can see it each and every week. They have been in every single game, said Rivers on Wednesday. I think it's one thing, speaking specifically of the pass game, they play a lot of tight coverage. They don't give you a lot of gimmies. Some teams and some more softer zone stuff give you just some completions and they rely on their tackling and you messing it up. The team is going to contest and challenge all of our guys, skill players that are in their routes, and make you be accurate with the football to find the open guy. There are a lot of guys that are screaming wide open all the time. So once again, this time Phillip Rivers was giving respect towards the Bengals. I don't like this. This is weird. This is so weird. Why are they respecting the? And this is a Colts writing page, the Colts Wire from USA Today Sports. Really weird. Frank Wright comes out here, gives all the respect to the Bengals. Phillip Rivers then comes on here. I mean, it makes sense because he just had a bad week. Phillip Rivers, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. It makes sense, but this is crazy. The whole article is just them praising the Bengals. It's weird. The Colts enter this matchup as a strong home favorite to begin the week. Even with their issues on the offensive side of the ball, they should be able to control the line of scrimmage and win with their defense. It should be a fun matchup to watch before the Colts go into their bye week in Week 7, and then won't be taking this game lightly. That's the entire article. Like I said, USA Today Sports, Colts Wire. You can go look it up on yourself if you want to see it for yourself. But very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm not going to lie. To see an article from an organization where the whole time they just talk about how their coach and their quarterback is preaching the Bengals, really weird to see. Interesting. Interesting. Bearcats game moved to Saturday, moved to the 3rd. I don't really care because go X. I'm a freshman at Xavier, so go X. Ready for the crosstown shootout for Xavier to whoop that ass. I'm so excited. Anyway, I'm from Cincinnati, so I don't really care. But yeah, I'm a big Xavier guy. I did see that. The COVID. Bearcats are looking good for football. UC's been looking good for football this year, but they're lucky Xavier doesn't have a football team. I know, right, Night Wolves? The Colts must really like us or something. They're showing a lot of respect. Really strange article to read. I was not expecting that. I was at B-Dubs for the Thursday night game and had my JB3 jersey on. A Browns fan walked by and said, "Nice jersey. I'm not looking forward for him in the future." Nice. So even some Browns fans. It's a little bit different in the division. You seem to respect and to know a lot more of the players that within national media. I guess your division is national media, but at the same time, it's kind of not. You know what I mean? It's kind of local media, I guess. I guess it's not Cincinnati, but, Cleveland's still close. So, at the same time, division, you usually know a little bit more within your division than you do the entire rest of the national media. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool to see. That's really cool to see. Our Bengals will gel this Sunday, and we will have a great win, and AJ will come up strong. I like the sound of that. And we'll have to see about AJ to see if he steps up or not, and what happens with AJ Green. But I definitely like the sound of that, that's for sure. We're an hour and 42 minutes going, so we'll go about for another 15 minutes if we can. If you guys don't give me anything to talk about, I'm probably just going to keep reading these articles, because I actually enjoyed reading that article. That was actually fairly interesting. All right, so this one is by Indy Star. NFL Week 6 Colts Bengals TV radio odds, injuries, key matchups. Obviously, I will be streaming live on Sunday. The game starts at 1, or kickoff starts at 1, but the stream starts an hour before every game day, so the stream will start at noon. I will be live streaming the entire game, play-by-play, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the family, and hit the notification bell so you remember to stream on Sunday. Let's see. They're not really answering anything. Yeah, okay, this article sucks. Isn't there a Bengals article? What's the Bengals article? I'm not seeing any Bengals stuff. What's the Bengals writing team article where they always post articles? I'm not seeing anything. I know there's a Bengals article out there. I just can't remember the name of it. And nothing's popping up. It's all Colts pages. Never mind then. The Dolphins should get the ball. Or should get Bell. Oh, Le'Veon Bell. I was thinking of Von Bell for some reason. I was like, what? Yeah, I saw the Dolphins. And it's really interesting with Le'Veon Bell. The only 3 teams he picks, it's kind of strange that are the next 3 games for the Jets, which I think is totally savage and inhuman. Like he gets released, and then he says, "I want to be on 3 teams," and those 3 teams play the Jets those first 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, that guy's a savage. Yes, Cincy Jungle. That was what I was looking for. Usually they're pretty high ranked on Google when you search stuff, but I'm not seeing them. Okay, so they got some stuff. They posted this one this morning. Bengals news calling the problem. Joe Burrow has been pressured and hit most of this season, but one of the sources of problems goes beyond the obvious issues. So this writer for the Cincy Jungle went out there and said, as Burrow worked on the field Wednesday, um, said AJ Green was limited in practice Wednesday, but is expected to play. Zach Taylor looks forward for week 6. This is kind of a stupid article. As no, didn't really enjoy that article. I don't know. I really don't like any of these articles. I guess I won't read any of them. I thought there would be some better article, but I guess not. Okay. Looks like the Chargers have a better than the Bengals. He's 0-4, so interesting to see. But Justin Herbert looks great. I will say that. I'm not ready to say he's better than Joe Burrow yet, but Justin Herbert has looked fantastic. And that brings up the interesting topic that I know a lot of people have been talking about in the national media. Joe Burrow's not a bust. Justin Herbert's not a bust. But what about the guy in between? Tua Tagovailoa. If he ends up being a bust, that would be such a dramatic, just a dramatic experience for the Dolphins as they passed up trading for Burrow, and then obviously passed up Justin Herbert as well. So we know Burrow's a guy for the future. We know Justin Herbert's the guy for the future. But what about Tua Tagovailoa? I know a lot of people are starting to question the speculation of why is he getting benched. The Dolphins keep saying, oh, we want him to have time to learn, behind the veterans and Fitzmagic and stuff like that. But at the same time, I've seen some people speculate, is it maybe because he's injured? He's not 110% healthy? I know that would be a big leap to prove, but a lot of people are kind of getting fed up and upset that he is not playing, or at least not seeing the field at all. So I know a lot of speculation starting to come out. Is he hurt? Is he injured? Is he not ready to be in NFL? Is he not making good reads? I don't know. But the Fitzmagic experience for the Dolphins is really interesting. And like I said, Justin Herbert's the guy. Joe Burrow's the guy. But what about that man, Tua Tagovailoa? We'll have to see what he's going to do. He's going to start in like 2 seasons. But yeah, we'll have to see about that. Tua will have to see if he is the guy or not. Because I remember at some point before Burrow was really having a blow-up season, it was tank for Tua. I remember seeing all the Cincinnati Bengals people on Twitter last year, Cincinnati Bengals media, when we knew our season was going downhill pretty quick. But before Burrow was exploding onto the college football scene, it was tank for Tua. I still remember that to this day. And then all out of nowhere, this Ohio kid, Joe Burrow, blew up, had the best season of all time in college football history as a quarterback. And now the rest is history. But it was just so funny, the tank for Tua, and here he is. We still don't know what he brings to the table. Obviously, we see Justin Herbert, and he looks like Justin Herbert looks like a guy. He's nice. Just still hasn't got a win yet. And, it takes more than one to get a win. I think Burrow's also starting to notice that. And, yeah, we'll have to see. And I think a lot of people are ignorant out there already trying to compare them. Oh, Burrow's so much better. Oh, Justin Herbert's so much. It's like, dude, they've both played like 5 games in their career. Like, it's going to take a lot more to see. Both of them are on pretty rosters. A lot of young talent, a lot of going towards the future. And both have offensive lines that are shaky. Obviously, the Bengals' offensive line is the worst. But, Chargers don't have too great of an offensive line. I think the circumstances that Justin Herbert was thrown into was incredible. His first start, he had like a 10-minute heads up. Hey, you're starting tonight against Patrick Mahomes. Like, that was pretty incredible and almost beat Mahomes. I feel like that was really crazy. But the Tyrod Taylor situation where his lung got they punctured his lung. The team doctor accidentally punctured his lung like 10 minutes before the game. And they're like, yeah, Justin, by the way, you're starting tonight. And then I think he played Tom Brady, barely lost. And then he played Drew Brees and barely lost. So he's looked fairly good, I'm not going to lie. Where did Joe Burrow come from? He just busted onto the scenes once he had that crazy season. Before it was tank for Tua for a long time, and then here comes Burrow, 60-plus touchdowns, MVP, Heisman, to wins it all. The Ohio kid, you have pictures of him and like Bengals stuff when he was young, and it was his whole storyline, and it was just too good to be true, and here it is. So, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting Tua. And which week is it where the Bengals play the Dolphins? I hope Tua is starting by then. Bengals versus Dolphins, December 6th. December 6th, Bengals versus Dolphins. I hope we get to see Burrow versus Tua Tagovailoa, because in the Chargers game, we didn't get to see Burrow and Herbert in that week 1 game. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Tua is starting by then, because, December 6th, that's a good ways into the season. So if they don't have him starting by then, I don't know. But, yeah, here we go. I guess with a couple minutes left, we'll go ahead and look at some Bengals stats real quick. So to wrap this one up, we got about 8 minutes left. If you're still in here, hit that like button. Let's get to 30+ likes. But Joe Burrow, we'll start with his stats. After, his stats definitely took a hit after last week's game. That's for sure. 135 completions for 207 attempts, 65%, 1,300 yards, 277 yards per game, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks, and he's been sacked 22 times. And that number is so underwhelming, because how many times he has sacked and how many times he should have been sacked is insane. The how many times he's had to fight for the line of scrimmage or throw the ball away, he should be sacked way more than that. So I think those numbers will bump up to at least 8 touchdowns, 3 picks after this game, 1,500 yards at least. I think after this game, he'll bump up to 200+ yards, so 1,500 yards. I think at least 2 touchdowns, hopefully no picks, so 8-3. I think his stats would look a lot better. Next up, Joe Mixon, 101 attempts for 374 yards is a 3.7 yard average and 2 touchdowns. So we got to get him in the end zone, that's for sure. I mean, the one game where he scored 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 receiving touchdown, we won. And I think that's a big key, is getting Joe in the end zone. That's one of my predictions. He will get into the end zone, because I think it's a big key to success, for real. I mean, we saw when he can get into the end zone, the dynamic it changes for our prediction to win versus when he's not in the end zone. So receiving, Tyler Boyd, 32 receptions, 362 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's been a beast. I know he's going to get another 1,000-yard season, which is going to be back-to-back 1,000 receiving yard seasons. Good for him. I'm so excited for Tyler Boyd. He's been a beast. Hopefully we can get some more touchdowns for him as well. T. Higgins, 16 receptions for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'd like to see him have a big game. I'm predicting 75 yards and 1 touchdown from him at least against the Colts this weekend. That's one of my predictions as well. Joe Mixon, 19 receptions for 123 yards and a touchdown as well through the air. Drew Sample, 14 receptions, 122 yards, 0 touchdowns. I think we'll have to see how he's going to continue to step up in the absence of CJ Uzomah. Is he going to be able to step up and be that guy for us? We'll have to find out. Mike Thomas, who I haven't seen at all since like week 3. This kid busted onto the scene out of nowhere, was getting reps over John Ross, T. Higgins, Alden Tate, and yeah, I mean, he kind of busted into the scene out of nowhere. So that one was an exciting one to see. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I'm going to send a message. Moving on from there, CJ Uzama. I can't say it. But here is one of the disappointing ones. Obviously, you have AJ Green. He has less receptions than games played before the game started. I would have laughed. I would laugh at your face if you would have told me that. But here we are, and he has less receptions than games played. And no touchdowns. I really thought he was going to do crazy this year when it came to getting into the red zone and getting touchdowns. I thought he was going to do really well, but he really hasn't, unfortunately, so that stinks. And then I don't remember if I recalled saying AJ Green's, but 14 receptions, 119 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Here's the big thing with AJ Green. Only 14 receptions, and he has 34 targets. 34 targets and only 14 completions? That we got to figure something out because it's not working. Last but not least, we'll end it with our defense. Our defense, Jesse Bates, 39 total tackles, a tackle for loss, 7 pass deflections. He has just been an absolute monster all over the field. I mean, his play does not speak for these stats. It really doesn't. Von Bell, 36 total tackles, and that's about it. Just a lot of tackles. Josh Bynes, 35 tackles, a tackle and a half, or 1 tackle and a half for a tackle for losses. I didn't even know you can get a half tackle for loss. I thought that was only for sacks, but I guess so. He also has a sack. Jermaine Pratt, 30 tackles, a pass deflection, and a tackle for loss. Sam Hubbard, 23 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackle for losses, and a pass deflection. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to play in this game. William Jackson, 20 total tackles, a tackle for loss, 3 pass deflections, and an interception. He's been pretty good. Obviously, DJ Reader's out for the season with 19 tackles and a tackle for loss. That's a big bummer, obviously. Carlos Dunlap, who got benched, which is kind of crazy to see happen. But the longtime Bengal Carlos Dunlap, 17 tackles, 1 sack for 2 tackle for losses. That's his season so far. Carl Lawson, 16 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, 3 tackle for losses. I expect him to get at least 1 sack in this week's game. Christian Covington, who's had to step up in the absence of Geno Atkins and DJ Reader, has stepped up and has had 13 total tackles and a tackle for loss. Mackenzie Alexander, 12 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Darius Phillips, 12 tackles, 4 pass deflections. LaShawn Sims, 12 tackles, 3 pass deflections, and an interception. Akeem Davis-Gathers, the rookie linebacker, 11 total tackles and a half a sack. Logan Wilson, 9 total tackles, so got to see him get some more tackles, but 2 pass deflections and 2 interceptions as well, and he's missed 1 game, so that's pretty impressive. And the rest of the guys aren't really too big of a factor, but that's the stats for the offense and the defense for the Bengals. So very, very interesting, and I am super excited. Go Andy Dalton. Yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing Andy Dalton for the Cowboys. It's going to be really interesting. I hope the best for Andy Dalton. He's always been a class act guy off the field. Never was the best player on the field. He was always average to above average at best. But off the field, he was always a class act. Always a class act. So I really hope he really helps the Cowboys. Not a big fan of the Cowboys, but, if he can help lead the Cowboys, it'd really be awesome to see Andy Dalton, have a lot of success. no matter where he is. So for sure, I hope Andy Dalton does good, for sure. But I'm going to wrap it up saying all my last predictions, my key to win, and my score prediction to wrap it up here before I end this stream. And then I will see you guys Sunday at noon for the entire 4 to 5 hour play-by-play watch party live stream, Bengals versus Colts. Make sure you're there. Hit the subscribe button, leave a like, join the DCTV family, and I'll see you guys there. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this real quick on the head. Keys to win, the turnover battle. We have to win the turnover battle to win this game. Burrow needs to build back up some confidence. Excuse me. That's how you know I'm getting tired. He needs to build back up some confidence. We got to see the offense line give him some time to throw the ball. If he does, hopefully he gets a touchdown or two. And then obviously get on the board for us. We got to score the ball first. That's a huge key to success. My predictions, we will force the ball over twice. We will have 2 turnovers. T. Higgins will have a touchdown and 75-plus yards. Carl Lawson will have at least 1 sack. Mixon will have at least 1 touchdown. And Burrow will at least have 2 total touchdowns. And last but not least, my score prediction, 26-20, the Cincinnati Bengals. Hope this might change, it might not change. I'll see you guys Sunday morning to let you know if it changed or not. So, the Colts lead the league in interceptions. Really, I didn't know that. I'm still not scared about their secondary. I think a reason why they would lead the league in interceptions is because their defensive front gets so much pressure that they crash that pocket and force the quarterbacks to make some poor decisions. But hopefully, in my key to win, if Burrow builds up some confidence, hopefully we avoid that. But with everything said, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Make sure you join the DCTV family, hit the subscribe button.